Hello, this is the video for Monday, June 8th. And today in our Bible reading plan, we're going to be reading Genesis chapter 19. I've got a link to that passage in the description of this video. I think it'd be a good idea to read it before watching the rest of what I'll say. Now, Genesis 19, to be honest, is one of the more unsettling chapters in the Bible. The main part of this chapter is focused on God raining destruction down on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah for their sinfulness. Now, I think one thing we often do that's wrong in reading this passage is to assume that God thinks that this type of sin, that sexual sin, or specifically same-sex sexual sin, is worse in God's eyes than any other type of sin. And that's not the case at all. This is an example. God would have acted this way with any kind of sin, any kind of wickedness. In this passage, we see that sin deserves God's judgment. Sin deserves destruction and death. God is a holy God who always does what is right. He can't tolerate sin. And God is a God who loves his world and his people and wants what's best for them. And he can't sit back and watch people destroy themselves by doing things that are wrong, things that hurt themselves and others. But let's not get the wrong impression about God from this passage. Yes, God is just. Yes, God is offended and angered and troubled by sin. But God doesn't just immediately strike us down when we sin, even if that's what we deserve. God is patient with us in our sin. Even with Sodom and Gomorrah, we see in the previous chapter that we didn't read today, that God says he's heard reports about this, and he's let the city go on for a while, and God knows that these people aren't going to change. And God acts in this incredibly destructive way here as an example, to teach us about what sin means and what sin deserves and how God responds. And yet, even in the midst of all of this destruction and judgment and just terribleness that's occurring, we see that God is merciful. God provides a way out for Lot and his family. For those who trust in God, he offers us a way to be delivered from sin and its consequences. And that's the same for us today. Through Jesus Christ, those of us whom God leads to trust in Jesus, God delivers us from sin and its effects and its consequences. But we need to understand that God cares deeply about sin, that God can't just let it go on, and that God has done something in Jesus. But Jesus hasn't come to destroy us. Jesus came to take the judgment our sins deserve, to deliver us, to set us free. So that's what I thought about when I read today's passage. If you have comments or questions of your own, please feel free to get them to me, share them in the comments below, reach out to me some other way, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks again for watching. I hope that you have a blessed day.